words, you have breast cancer, everything changes. Your body changes, your identity shifts, even something such as losing your hair can feel like losing part of yourself. But what if that painful moment became the seed for something that brought comfort to thousands of women? Today's guest didn't just survive breast cancer, she created something beautiful because of it. Welcome back to Pink Ribbon Roller Coaster. I'm your host, Jennifer Harrod, and today we're talking about resilience, identity, and how pain can spark purpose. Our guest, Jami Sullins, is a breast cancer survivor who turned one of the hardest parts of treatment, hair loss, into a mission driven product designed to bring dignity and comfort to women in chemo. Thank you for joining us today, Jami.
I am so glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, you're so welcome. Can you take us back to the day you were diagnosed? What was going through your mind?
Well, the first thing that I always remember when I think about that day is the fact that I was having just a pleasant lunch with my husband. His office isn't far from the house, and so he called me to meet him at our favorite Mexican restaurant. We'd finished our meal, we were up at the desk paying our bill, and my phone rang, and I knew the phone number. So I stepped outside. I previously had had a mammogram, an ultrasound, a biopsy. And when I saw the phone number, I knew this call could go one of two ways. So I
Right.
stepped outside, I took the call, and that's when I heard the words, Jami, you have breast cancer.
Yeah.
And immediately the tears started to flow. But also, I was very task driven. I needed a notebook, I needed a pen to take down everything that this doctor was saying. And as my husband stepped outside after paying, he saw the look on my face. He ushered me to his truck and we jumped inside and I put it on speaker and quickly grabbed that notebook and pen.
Wow. Yeah, that's one of the hardest moments, just when it hits you. And it's just so hard to just take it all in. Do you mind sharing with us your breast cancer journey?
Sure. I do want to jump back to that diagnosis when you
Yeah.
say that's the hardest thing you hear. Oddly enough, I was somewhat prepared. I
Mm.
really knew I had breast cancer before I knew I had breast cancer. The reason for that is I had had three lumpectomies prior to this. My first one at age 18
Oh, my.
as a freshman in college, again in my 20s, again in my 30s. Now, all of those were benign. Two of them were cysts, one was a benign tumor. The minute I touched this one in my breast, and I did find this lump through self examination, the moment I touched it, I knew it was different. And I knew in my heart that I had breast cancer. I didn't want that, but for
Right.
some reason, I just knew. So once I got that diagnosis, my first appointment was with a surgical oncologist, which was really weird to me that my first appointment was with a surgeon.
Right.
You know, in your mind, when you hear you have cancer, the first thing you think of is chemo. But my first appointment was with a surgeon. Now, he did give me my plan, which the first thing was chemo. So they immediately put in my port and I was supposed to start chemo the next week. However, I had a really bad reaction to something in the surgery of the port. My port, you could still see my scar. I have a fun little tattoo next to it now. This whole area immediately became inflamed and irritated. We had to
Wow.
deal with fighting off a reaction before I could start chemo. So chemo was delayed a couple weeks. So already I'm panicking inside because I'd been told I had triple negative breast cancer. That was my diagnosis. And it was fast growing, super aggressive. Jami, we've got to get on top of this. Oh, but we have to wait until this clears up. I was never fearful, but a little panicky. And that sounds weird to say not fearful, but panicky. I wasn't afraid of dying, but I
Right.
was panicked in knowing that I needed to get on this quick. Eventually, chemo did start. My plan was 12 treatments of carbo and Taxol, and then I would go into AC, also known as the Red Devil.
Hmm.
Next was surgery. The plan after that was radiation. Now, I made some alterations to that plan because I am a girl that advocates for myself. If anything in this journey, I've learned to be loud and know what my body needs.
That's good.
It's just, it is what it is. So after those 12 treatments of carbo and Taxol, I decided my oncologist and I were not seeing eye to eye. So I
Mhm.
actually left the clinic that I was at against all medical orders. I walked away because I just knew it was not where I needed to be. I
Right.
was supposed to immediately go into AC, but I took 6 weeks off. And that was very much frowned upon in the oncology world.
Yeah.
But I needed to do that to heal my body. And I needed to
Mhm.
do that to find a doctor that was right for me. And I did find a doctor that was perfect for me, jumped back in, finished up the AC, did a double mastectomy with immediate reconstruction, meaning they put expanders into my breast to
Mhm.
hold that space. They couldn't do the implants immediately because if I need radiation, the implants can't be in there. So we went
Right.
through expanders. I did find out that my cancer was completely eradicated and
Woohoo!
no longer there. So radiation was not going to be needed. Thank goodness.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was fabulous. But my body still said, oh no, girl, we're not done because my body started rejecting the expanders. My
Oh,
incision on one breast opened back up and the expander was coming out. My body was forcing it out of my body. So we went in for a debridement, a new expander, fixed it all. Because 2 weeks later, I was in the same boat again.
oh, wow.
So in 3 months, I had my third surgery. December, I had a
That's
surgery. January, I had a surgery. February, I had a surgery. They went in and actually removed one of my expanders and told me to just wait 6 months for my body to heal and we would try it again.
wow.
Again, I did my research. That's not what I wanted. And I knew that's not what my body needed. So I ended up going down to New Orleans. There's a great breast reconstruction clinic down there, and I had a deep flap surgery, DIEP. For those listening that don't know what it is, they cut open my abdomen, cut me from hip to hip, harvested my abdomen tissue, aka they took my tummy fat,
Woohoo!
and used that to create breast mounds of my own tissue. No rejection could happen, right? Right?
Yeah.
Okay, it didn't reject, but my abdomen incision got infected.
Oh, no.
Another trip down to New Orleans for another debridement. Here I am. I stopped my
Bless.
antibiotics yesterday. I'd been on antibiotics for 5 months. I got to stop them yesterday, and I am now doing very well. I'm finally healthy. That is after 16 rounds of chemotherapy. I ended up having 6 surgeries within 16 months.
Wow.
Yeah, my body is not my own anymore, but it is a healthy and cancer free body that is serving me well.
Bless you. You have had a journey.
Yeah, yeah, been there.
Wow. Been there, got the award, all that.
I don't know what award I got, but I got something.
Oh my goodness. So I don't even know, a lot of people say that chemo and hair loss is one of the hardest parts of journey, but I don't know. You've had a journey. So what do you think was the hardest part?
Well, one thing I've learned through this,
Hmm.
every cancer journey is different. Every person experiences it differently, Before I had cancer, when I heard someone had cancer, my immediate thought was, oh, chemo, they're going to lose their hair, they're going to lose a bunch of weight, oh, they're going to look gross and sick.
Right.
And I never really felt that sick. I did
Okay.
lose my hair. I had days of nauseousness, but I never really felt miserable like the
Yeah.
movies portray it to be. I did have to change a lot of things about my life. A lot of my daily routines came to a quick and complete halt, and I think that was the hardest part of my journey was I was a girl that went 100 miles an hour every single day from the minute my feet hit the ground to the minute they were back in my bed. I was going and busy, and chemo changed that.
Mm.
I had to learn to slow down. I had to learn to stop and only do the things that served me well. And that was the hardest part. It wasn't all the medical everything, even all the complications I had, they really weren't the hardest part. The hardest part was having to change who I was as a driven, highly, highly driven person.
Yeah. I can definitely see that about you. You're always go, go, go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I bet that was hard.
It was very hard.
During the journey, what really inspired you for the comfort beanie? When was the first thought of it? When did it first hit you?
I never intended a business out of this. And, I've heard a lot of people say, well, that's the best kind of business.
Right.
How Comfort Beanie came about, as I said, I did lose my hair from the chemotherapy. I
Right.
tried all the things out on the market. I had fun trying on wigs, but honestly, they were just a lot. They were heavy, they were itchy, they were sweaty. I wore them on certain occasions, but most days I hated them.
Yeah.
Ball caps hurt my head. That little metal knob at the top of the cap
Yeah.
really rubbed on my sensitive scalp, and I just didn't like them. Now, I'm a fashionista. I've got a closet that is way too packed, but in that closet are tons and tons of hats. And so I thought, I've got this, I've got all these hats. Well, my head size changed because I didn't have all this big hair anymore. I
Oh,
always had a lot of colorful, fun hair. And as that fell out and I was bald, these hats just kind of wobbled around on my little baby head. So the hats were out of the question. I went to scarves and I had fun tying some scarves, but they would slip and slide and I couldn't bobby pin them to anything because there wasn't
right.
anything to bobby pin it. So what was I going to do there? I did order a few wigs on, or a few beanies, excuse me, a few beanies online, and I just never found one that met all my needs. Either they were very cheap fabrics that
Right.
just didn't feel good. Some of them had elastic and they squished my head. I
Oh,
just never found one that I really liked. So I have sewn as long as I can remember. My first job was at a fabric store when I was 16. So I've been sewing since I was probably 12. So I
wow.
went to Hobby Lobby and Joanne. I miss my Joanne fabrics.
Oh,
But we went to those two stores, found some really cute fabrics, and these two right here, the black and white checkered and the leopard print, were
cute.
my first two fabrics that I ever worked with because they're my favorite prints ever. So I grabbed those and started making beanies. Now, I tried a couple different styles, and what I landed on was kind of a mesh between a couple different patterns that I had found on YouTube, just on DIY pages.
Wow.
So I started making these beanies, sitting at my sewing machine on my good days to make some beanies. And I got a little obsessive about it. I'm one of those personalities that like I go all in on things, like to a point that it drives my husband crazy. Bless his heart. So I bought all the
Oh,
fabrics, all the colors, all the prints, all the florals, and started making these beanies. And of course, was wearing a different one every single day. People started asking me where I was getting them, especially on infusion days when I was at the clinic. I would be asked by a
mhm.
lot of other patients there and even some of the nurses, oh my gosh, I've never seen one so cute. Where are you getting it? And when I would say, "Oh, I made this myself," two things would happen. Maybe they would say, "Oh my gosh, will you make me one?" And
Oh,
I'm in the throes of chemo right now. I'm doing good to make these for myself. No. Or the minute I would say, "I made this myself," their face would just fall and go, "Oh," because they couldn't sew.
yeah.
Thinking, especially as people started asking me to make them, what do I have here? Do I have a business? Do I have a nonprofit? Do I have a ministry?
Mm. Yeah.
Really didn't know what it was going to be. And I am a girl who loves the Lord and prays often. And so I just took that dilemma to God and just asked Him for wisdom and guidance and didn't get an immediate answer, but I didn't need one because I was still taking care of myself.
Exactly.
But eventually, I woke up one morning with just an idea. I know it came from the Lord, but just an idea of, you know what? Tom's Shoes is both a business and a charity. Why could this not be both? And
Yeah.
so that's what I've landed on. Comfort Beanie is a business. It is a for-profit business, but I have built into my business model that I donate beanies all the time at area cancer clinics. So it's not an exact one for one because I would have to price the beanies so high that nobody could afford them.
Mhm.
Or, I mean, people could afford them, but I want to keep the price low because these people are already paying medical bills, driving to treatment, doing all this stuff. I wanted to keep them as affordable as possible, but I also wanted to build in where I could donate some. So that's exactly what I've done with Comfort Beanie.
So, what is your mission and your goals with Comfort Beanie?
I don't know that it's exactly a mission, but the three words that I focus on with Comfort Beanie are comfort, of course. I only choose soft, comfortable fabrics. I love the ones that are like those buttery soft leggings. Those are my favorites.
Oh,
But I've also worked with velvet, I've worked with a waffle knit, but they're all comfortable. That is my promise to my customers. So comfort is number one. Style is number two. Just because you're bald and having to wear a beanie doesn't mean that you have to look like an 85-year-old woman, even if you're in your 30s.
right.
So style is really important. I'm choosing up to date, trendy prints. I also have some basics for those that are a little more basic, but I do have a lot of fun, stylish prints. And the third word is generosity. That's very much my mission. Like I just said, I want to be able to give these out to people at clinics while they're in treatment. It is so fun to walk around a treatment room and show people comfort beanies and offer them to choose one, and they always ask, "Well, how much is it?" And I'm like, "It's free. It's free for you today." And they just light up. It's so much fun being a bright light to someone on a treatment day because those are awful days.
Yeah.
Now, what in the future, what I would love to see for Comfort Beanie, I have two product lines right now. I have my beanies. So these were what I created while I was in chemo and losing hair. So they're soft, comfortable. Um, I have also just launched into Bands by Comfort Beanie, again, created out of necessity. It's a cute little headband created out of
Yeah.
necessity because of this grow out process and these crazy chemo curls. I found myself tying my hair back a lot, but again, I couldn't find something that I liked. So I made something myself. Now, there's a lot of different ways that you can wear the beanies and the bands, and I have videos on my YouTube and all my social medias to show the different ways that you can wear the products. In the
That's great.
future, I do want to have an organic line because I know that's important to a lot of people, especially on a cancer journey. So I'd like to have an organic line. And sadly, I would like to have a kids line. I hate that that's even needed, but I've already been asked a couple times if I have kid sizes and I don't, or if I have fun kid prints and I don't. But that is definitely something that I want to do. And a dream that I have is to be able to go to St. Jude and do some donations of beanies down to St. Jude.
That would be amazing. What a mission. What do you hope a woman feels whenever she puts that first comfort beanie on? What do you hope she's feeling?
You know that feeling when you grab a super soft blanket
Oh,
and wrap
yes.
yourself up in it? That
Mhm.
feeling where your shoulders finally drop and you take a deep breath in. That's what I want people to feel. Now, yes, these are created mainly for women because of the prints, but I do have a couple guys that wear them too in solid colors.
Yeah.
But that's what I want all of my customers or all of my recipients to feel. I want it to feel like a relaxing, comfortable hug.
Oh,
But that's what I want them to feel on their head. Nothing hot, nothing itchy, nothing rubbing. I want them to feel protected. I want their head to feel comfortable. That's how the name came about. Like, when I'm going to name this business, what am I going to name it? But the most important thing with this is the comfort that it brings to people. And that's why I landed on Comfort Beanie.
I think that's so important because so many of the time women do want to wear a wig, but they put them on, and then, especially if it's summertime, oh my goodness, it's so hot and uncomfortable and itchy. And, that's amazing to have something that just makes you feel comfortable.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm. So, if somebody wants to purchase a comfort beanie, how do they go about doing that?
It's easy. Comfortbeanie.com. I made it
Oh,
as easy as possible. Now, they can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, but to order, just go straight to comfortbeanie.com. That's where you can find the beanies, that's where you can find the bands. And there's even an option on there where you can completely donate a beanie. So
oh,
I have had a lot of customers that will buy beanies for themselves or a friend, but then add on, it's basically a donation to fully fund a beanie to a cancer clinic.
oh, that's great. What do you think? I think there's so many things, advice that people give when you're going through chemo, but what would you say is the most beneficial tip or trick that you have for those going through chemo?
Ooh, that's a big question.
I
That's a really
know.
good question. I think the best thing that I did is once I found out what my journey was going to look like,
Hmm.
I went onto Amazon and I made a wish list of things that I knew I was going to need. And my intention for this was to send it out to my friends, my family, my community, because what I see happen a lot in tragic situations, whether it's a diagnosis, whether it's a death, no matter what it is, people
Right.
want to help. They really
Hmm.
do, but they don't know how to help. And they sometimes feel frozen in that I don't know what to do, so I'm going to do nothing. In
Hmm.
creating that Amazon wish list, I was able to share that out to people and give them a tangible way that they could help me on this journey. Now, I changed a lot of things in my life at my diagnosis. I got rid of all plastic food containers. So I needed glass food containers. So very practical things were on my Amazon wish list. I knew I was going to be lounging a lot. So I put some pajamas on my list. But then I also put things on my list like the blue emesis bags, the throw up bags,
Yeah.
um, different medicines that I knew I was going to need, Imodium, magnesium, different things like that also went on my list. I put some beanies on my list before I realized they weren't any good. So I had a very long Amazon wish list of things in all different price points where people could do things to help me and made it easy for them to help me. So that would be my biggest advice. Make it easy for people to help you because I promise you, your community wants to rally around you. They just might not know the best way.
That's great advice. I completely agree with that because so many times People end up buying you things you don't really need or want, but they do. They just want to help and don't know how.
Yeah,
So,
I don't need another fuzzy blanket or a fuzzy pair of socks.
right.
I feel bad saying that because some of my friends got me those things and they might listen to this, but I loved them. I really loved them. I did. But that's not what I needed. I needed a lot of other things. So the Amazon list told people exactly what I needed.
Great idea. What, so somebody that's listening today, maybe they're newly diagnosed. What advice would you want to offer them, or what would you want to say to that newly diagnosed woman that's just starting her journey?
The first thing I would say is it's okay to be scared, be fearful. It's okay to
Right,
have questions. But what I would really advise that woman to do is to seek out answers to those questions from
right,
more than one person. This journey is your journey, it is nobody else's. You don't have to listen to the people on Facebook that give all their advice that have never had cancer before.
right.
Do your own research, and more than anything, decide what is best for you because your journey is your journey and nobody else's. And everyone wants to insert their opinion,
Yep.
but they aren't the ones fighting for their lives. You are, and you know in your gut what's best for you.
That's great. Thank you so much, Jamie. You're amazing and just an amazing woman, amazing fighter, and just such a great spirit. So I appreciate you taking the time to join us today, um, and for sharing your personal journey through breast cancer. That's
Absolutely.
And for those of you, if you know someone you love that is walking through breast cancer right now, we hope today reminded you that even in loss, there is still beauty. Even in pain, there can be purpose. So thank you for joining us today on Pink Ribbon Roller Coaster. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this with others. Thank you.